completely boring.
Any offers for staying alive? Any offers for staying alive?
Yes. Are you prepared to sing a bit, dance a bit, act a bit, and generally make a little bit of a fool of yourself?
Here we go, loopy-loop. Here we go, loopy-lop.
Yes. Are you prepared to jump around a lot? Yes.
Oh! Yeah!
Can you keep it together when there's absolute chaos around you?
But hopefully, au revoir. Join us again next time. I'll be here. I hope you'll be there. Then again.
The only one I wouldn't fill in is at the bottom, which would be, are you prepared to bungee jump? No.
See ya tomorrow! Bye! Oh, no! Ah!
I would just like to say at this point, Mum, I love you.
But perhaps the most important qualification is a talent for doing it all while maintaining a relentlessly upbeat approach to life.
Oh, no! Oh, no! No! Jesus, no!
This is not a job for the faint-hearted.
This is not funny! I hope the cameras work, because I'm not doing this again. No way.
It's unique, and it's like joining a club.
It's relentless pressure and relentless amounts of energy.
Have no inhibitions. Don't care what people think of you.
You just got to be yourself. You actually have to be totally genuine.
Hello, Teddy Bear!
The first challenge for any self-respecting children's presenter to master is working with their on-camera colleagues. Let's start with the kids.
Is that Daddy?
That's Daddy. I think Daddy better come in and...
He's actually one of the youngest we've had. You're 3, aren't you?
I think we better go visit the little people who live.
And we'll be giving you all the latest information. Now, you could...
Are you reading that?
I am done. You two can say something. I know.
Kids are the most critical audience. They really are. If you're not absolutely 100% locking in on them all the time, they'll switch you off or they'll switch you over.
Joanne?
Benson.
Do you spell your name, Joanne, with an E?
J.
What's your favorite Bible story? How's it go?
Humpty Dumpty.
Now, what does the story about Jesus making the water into wine teach us?
When you run out of wine, get on your knees and pray.
Oh, I had dreadful problems working with kids because people said they must be great fun to work with, but I caught so many things off the kids. I had colds, flu like you wouldn't believe. I was regularly at the doctor's. I remember walking in one week and he told me that I had nits. The following week he told me I had lice.
And it gets worse. A stomach-churning trip down a tube in the middle of a children's programme.
How was that, Nicola? You're an athlete.
Now watch the girl on the left who's just emerged from the game.
Pretty quick through the groove tube there. You did it in good time. Let's check in with Mark to see where the scores are at. Go, Mark!
Any mum will know that look of the child. You know, she's turning green and she has this look on her face. And I'm smiling and saying, well, that's it for today. So why don't you join me next time on, you know. And as I'm doing that, she's being sick in my hand. But my smile kept going like that. And as the camera went, cut, I went, get this sick off me.
The thing about children on the telly when you're interviewing them is if you give them a chance to give you a one-word answer, they'll give you a one-word answer.
Your mum or dad must be in a circus then?
Yeah.
Have your grandparents been in a circus also?
No.
I learnt a technique of asking them questions where they couldn't give me a one-word answer. So instead of, do you think this is really good? They can go yes or no. You go, what do you think about this? And then they've got to answer you in a sentence.
Hey, what's your name?
Glenn Pearson.
Glenn.
Glenn.
Glenn, what do you think of the peccary?
A lot of crap.
Let me tell you a bit about what...
A cardinal sin of the children's presenter is to patronise. The golden rule is to talk to kids on their level.
Music and videos.
Oh, kids love farting. I love farting.
Do you?
Well, not love farting, but I love, you know... But I love toilet gags, and, you know what I mean? Just stupid little boy humour. That's what makes me laugh.
Dear Aunt and Cat, as long as I can remember, my dad has done eggy pumps. He started to catch them in his hand and throw them in my face as a joke. What a class dad! Well not, but just recently he's...
And I was laughing because that's what dads do, you know what I mean? And then he says, but he goes one step further than that. And then he farts in the biscuit tin, right?
That is foul!
My friends come out he gives them a biscuit and lets the pub smell out in their face. That's what stop me from doing. Thanks. That is brilliant.
How can you turn wine into water? The first show I ever did, I was very young, I was very nervous, and I developed this unfortunate habit. As I was speaking, to kind of emphasise things, I would sort of nod my head a bit like this. And every week I started to get a postcard from a girl in Edinburgh, and she started it off, "Dear Noddy." So I was actually getting worse, you know, because every week this card would come, "Dear Noddy, how are you this week? You know, you were nodding well last week."
The job may be becoming tougher, but there's no shortage of very willing volunteers.
Whoa, I'm mad and I'm wacky and I'm a children's presenter.
Mustang Sally. Woo! That's enough of that. I'd really like to be James Bond, but I'm going to try and be a CITV presenter first.
More than 1,200 showreels to wade through, and the search for the new faces of children's ITV is underway.
Which is going around London at the moment. But to be honest with you, they're both things that I play at, and what I really want to do is present.
It's usually you can tell within the first 10 seconds, really, whether somebody's got the right approach and the right look.
And I like taking part in competitions and working with children.
And I love nothing more than meeting people, making new friends.
In 8 weeks, after screen tests, interview boards and workshops, 2 new stars will be chosen.
I'll leave you with this thought. Thanks.
I suppose it's a little bit like Glenn Miller looking for his sound. It's somebody who's very open and warm and witty, I suppose. Looks aren't terribly important, but obviously they've got to be reasonably photogenic.
Andrea Green, very highly tipped to become the next Zoe Ball with Flow.
She's got quite a nice look.
Hi, I'm Anne-Marie. I'm with Sasha, who's a dub DJ at the Beat Bar on Portobello Road.
And I'm born to be a kids TV presenter, man.
This here is Weymouth. This is the Lighthouse at Hornbill. I don't know if you remember the children's television programme. We've got the lighthouse keeper here.
Yeah, and I can tell almost immediately that this guy is a possible.
For the moment, it's a case of reducing the list to 28 hopefuls. And then the real test will begin when they're invited back for an audition.
Come on, get a bit more.
In part 2, a traction engine out of control.
I was hurtling towards what we call the Blue Peter Neon, which we're sitting.
The perils of the children's television studio.
Studio 5.
And who will be ITV's new TV star?
It means the world to me. I'd really like to get this job.
Yes, thank you. And hello, Eloise Densham. You're 6 years old today. Lots of love.
The old showbiz saying makes it very clear. Never work with children or animals. The kids presenters have no choice.
No. OK, I'm sorry about that. You can read that birthday at the bottom of the TV screen, I promise you.
And learn how to care for animals, as well as learn that their own environment can be improved.
Yeah. Isn't it? Oh, I can't go on. I can't.
I think he loves chickens.
Remember the classic in the middle of the Sahara? We're all on the camel, and this camel shunts fell up in the air.
And I remember getting on my camel and taking rather a long time, so of course my camel got up thinking I was on and I fell off.
She gets up, she says, really, in this heat? It's about
a
30.
bit much in this heat.
Turning around and saying crossly to Pete, I mean, how do you ride these things? And he looked at me just as angry and said, I don't know, it's the first time I've ridden a camel too.
I don't know, this seems to be my year for falling off things. I suppose if I fall off a horse, I might as well fall off a camel.
I was in Sri Lanka and we were doing a piece on macaque monkeys, and I had to say it's very easy in this particular troupe to tell which one is the dominant male by the way it sits, because it was sitting up high and it's sort of, you know, just like that, and just looks very important. So they were all behind me and I'm going, oh, it's very easy in this particular troupe to tell which one is the dominant male. Turned round and it's doing what a dominant male does to a subordinate female.
Now, it's very obvious who's the leader in this particular troupe.
It's the...
Kangaroos move by hopping, and they've got incredibly powerful hind legs. It sometimes uses to jump over things or to jump its way along the Australian plains. There it goes. Wowee! Look at that little jumper go.
But when she's fully grown, she'll have 50...
But the all-time star of children's television bloopers was a baby elephant appropriately called Lulu.
Even the male elephants don't have tusks. And,
we're having a slight penny down here. A slight problem.
Get out of the way, I think.
You're supposed to be drinking it, Lulu.
The studio floor became very wet. She then went away again. By this time, we'd all kind of, you know, split up a bit to allow for this large damp patch. And then she came back again and did something even worse in the middle of this. A loud splat, splat.
Yes, maybe I'll just stand back a little bit. Oh, dear.
And the elephant comes back again, only this time it comes back at pace. And it's running, and he's hanging onto it like mad. And as it comes through this, he's got the poo on the floor and the water, and his feet, he's just got no way of holding on.
They're going to spin it out in the country, but Lulu won't be there.
But there's another potential danger children's presenters must share the screen with. Controlled by adults, but even less predictable than 5-year-olds and elephants. It's the puppet.
You'll be fighting me as well if you don't stop your nonsense.
Let's get Mum or Dad to do this.
They can't be trusted when the lights are up or down.
How's that? See, so we can just pretend. Oh, isn't it lovely? We can just pretend. Agro, what are you doing? Agro, stop it. Turn the lights back on.
OK, the lights had better come up.
Agro, look, I was just trying to give you a hint.
I know, I took it too, didn't I?
Get off me! Get off me! He's got my fingers! Get off me! My God! Let go!
If you had a nightmare child on the phone, then the gopher could react. If you had a really very boring guest, then the gopher would yawn. You know, stuff that we couldn't do, but you'd just have this you know, sort of puppet lying, banging its head and thinking, oh, God, everybody knowing that it was doing what we wanted to do. So the gopher was a really good tool because it got away with far, far more than we could ever hope to.
Join me after the break.
The lot of a children's presenter has never been an easy one, but in 1984 it became that much tougher. It was 15 years ago that Gunge made its screen debut. It was an instant hit. Normally made out of industrial food thickeners, the demand for Gunge from viewer and producer alike is use more often, on more people.
3, 2, 1, put a pie in your face when I say now.
Welcome to the Red Hot Lobster Tour, a satellite children's show that claims to be the messiest yet.
Kids just love Gack and Gunge. They love getting pied. They live for that Gunge, they live for that pie.
Give them a big round of applause, Lisa.
Kids 6, 7, 8, 9, just give it me, I'll do it myself, you know, and they love it, and they stand there and go,
1.5 a haircut, go! Now take it off and smile to the camera. Yeah! Give him a big round of applause, he goes, off he goes.
Well, I thought the show went really well, actually, and I thought it was like, you know, despite the weather, we had a good laugh, and everybody got home and pied, and they won prizes, so it was really, really good.
And this is the show that started it all. 'Tis was.
Saturday, Saturday, Saturday is 'tis was day. Saturday, Saturday, Saturday is 'tis was. Every day to miss, 'cause Saturday is 'tis was day.
I'm very suspicious about a certain thing that happened once on 'Tis Was when Chris said to me, I've got a whole series of letters that have been written in to me saying that Sally James doesn't get enough Gunge over her.
But I don't understand why Sally James never gets a custard pie.
I do.
Well, I think we can clear that up. No problem.
I should remember inventing this viewer's letter, which I think was written in my own hand on a beer mat, saying, you know, why doesn't Sally have more custard?
So that's you done, Billy.
Then the next letter comes out. Oh, this is so-and-so from so-and-so, and I'd like to see Sally James covered in baked beans. Baked beans, bucket of baked beans.
You've had a lot of people writing in about baked beans. This is also for Nora Niceness of Netherton, and also Algernon Spinks from Uttoxeter, and also
then so-and-so has written in and wants you to have 3 buckets of semolina. Oh, it was just awful.
David McKellar. Morning, David. Sorry I didn't ring you last night in Cardiff. The phone was a bit funny.
It was one of those things that, like, when it started, she was sort of thinking, oh, you and in the end, it was like, Auntie's was, OK, guys, you got me, forget it, go with it. Whatever's going to happen, you know. Short of debagging, fine, you know.
Nigel Baverstock of Liverpool says, I'd like to see semolina, a whole bucket of semolina, thrown at her from close range. Well, I think we can manage that without any problem at all. Great.
Yes, I have been gunged more times than I care to admit. There was one young lady, I think Amy Crankshaw was her name, and she actually wrote into the show, get your own back.
Amy!
Amy!
Listen to me! Listen to me!
And they put me in the gunge. It was an absolute fix. I had to go in. And believe me, when gunge gets moved about by somebody falling into it, it has a different way of moving. And the audience watch it, full of children, they all go...
What do you mean?
For the children's presenter, the studio is no safe place.
If I had have slept in, I wouldn't have.
It presents just as many pitfalls and hazards as life on the road.
I fell on my paw.
One day, when Billy and the animals were sitting on top of the hill, Woodley said...
I had to drive a traction engine in the studio, and it might not look that bad, but at the time I was petrified. Being great in rehearsal, this was an ancient, antique traction engine.
It can pull. You can't sit it at all. Hang on a minute.
And when I turned it to the left, it went to the right. When I tried to slow it down, it went faster. I was trying to remember my script. And for some reason, I was hurtling towards what we call the Blue Peter Neon, which is a big light, and it's got the Blue Peter ship on it. Very expensive, very dangerous if it blows up. And I'm heading straight towards it.
Hang on a minute. Oh! It's very, very difficult to steer, as you can see.
And I was like this afterwards, you know. And I knocked a head off a Lego model on Blue Peter. It was called The Art of Lego, and it was a model of a commuter made out of 52,000 pieces of Lego. And I just put my hand on the head, and the head rolled off into the newspaper.
Oh dear. It just shows you how fragile these things are. But the good thing about Lego is it should stick back on.
And I said to Karen Keating, I said, was it that bad? She said, no, nobody will have noticed it. And we got into a black cab outside Television Centre going into London. And the cab driver turned round and said, aren't you that prat that's just knocked the head off the Lego man? The very first person I met.
I'm sorry, a Kentucky Fried Chicken. New technology is not making the job any easier. Behind Andy Peters is no ordinary screen. It's a plasma screen, and it's very hot.
Well done, Danny Bay, yes. Good heavens, these screens are hot. Oh my goodness. I think I've burnt my nose. Oh, look, oh, good blimey. Oh, I hope it's not water soaked, thank you.
Carlton Television and its audition day in the continuing search for ITV's new children's presenters. 23-year-old Anne-Marie is one of 28 hopefuls.
Yeah, I've been practicing in front of the mirror, actually, and my housemate last night, just running through scripts together, smiling, laughing, trying to get my voice right, things like that. It means the world to me. I'd really like to get this job. It'd be my ultimate dream.
How does...
Today's hopefuls will face a number of challenges, from taking instructions down an earpiece...
Okay, can you hear me?
I can, yeah.
...to cues and countdowns.
Studio 5, 4, 3...
Hello, my name's Anne-Marie. I'm 23 years old. I was born in Ilford.
Anne-Marie, who is currently temping, only has a little professional experience and is facing stiff competition.
I love the whole enthusiasm, the immediacy, the buzz you get from presenting, basically.
And I do a sort of Scooby-Doo impression, something like that. All you have to draw is a simple design of Scooby-Doo.
But the nerves are showing.
Basically, I can't get this Scooby-Doo, man.
At the end of the day, the final 6 will be chosen.
This counting down's putting me off. Goodbye.
We've got to carry on now because it's going to be the scoop in a moment. I think I might. Oh, no, sorry. No, we'll carry on talking for a little moment.
I think the programme I'm going to talk about is, and I've forgotten what programme I was going to talk about. Sorry.
And I'm actually going to change which cameras you're on. OK, we are recording.
Neil gives you the opportunity. To turn ordinary. Sorry. Stop. I'm sorry. When was that? Did I miss you telling me to turn?
I would love to be Wilma. She is so good. I mean, the thing is about Wilma, she's so sensible, which is completely opposite of me. She's calm, collective, very confident.
So what's Anne-Marie's verdict of her performance?
First word to bring to mind is terrible. Really, I think it didn't go as well as I hoped, if I'm brutally honest in front of everyone.
In less than 2 weeks, the final 6 will be decided upon. For the moment, all Anne-Marie can do is wait and hope.
I put the car into first gear and began the run-up. There was no turning
Danger and daring are nothing new to the intrepid children's presenter. It's all part of the job. This is a career for the determined and fearless. Turning down any assignment, however terrifying, is not an option, even if you have vertigo.
So I was strapped to a windmill, which you'd say, well, if he's got vertigo, how can you let that happen? But it's a different thing because I wasn't in control. That, for me, was like a big fairground ride.
Dearie me! It's incredible! Oh, dear!
It was a story about being a miller, and apparently to be a master miller, you have to be strapped to the windmill. Oh, yeah, well, on Blue Peter you do anyway.
What's more than that, is it? It's absolutely incredible!
When you're on this sail going, for God's sake, hurry up! I'm hating this, and it's creaking away.
For more than 12 years, John Noakes was Blue Peter's action man. He parachuted, tobogganed, even climbed to the top of Nelson's column.
Had this sort of lack of fear. I'll put it down to gross stupidity. He sort of, we want someone to fall off this 20,000-foot building. Oh, I'll do it.
Not too fast, we're starting to sway a bit up here.
But there was one stunt that truly terrified him.
Yeah, that's it.
When I was holding the pole, it was fine. It didn't matter whether the pole was swaying, because you got your legs and your arms around it. But the moment there was nothing in front of you, there was just space, and 60 foot down. And my mouth goes dry.
Yeah, that's it.
And then my throat goes dry. And then I start to lose coordination. These idiots were going... And I was thinking, stop, I'm going to get off. Like, stop the world, I want to get off.
Okay. I was terrified.
And that was the only time in my life I ever had fear.
Oh, no! Oh, no!
Well, okay, George.
It was inevitable that Action Man would soon be followed by Action Woman, in the shape of Magpie's Jenny Hanley.
There was a strange stain on the carpet on this plane, and I thought, other people have been frightened, obviously. This is not a thing you should be doing. And we finally got to the jump zone. And I remembered in the back of my mind, I could hear my jump master's phrase, which is, if you look down, Hanley, and it's blue, and you look up and it's green, remember to turn before you hit the deck. And you thought, thank you. So I jumped out of the plane on a fixed chute, nothing clever, and I got this tape recorder on my chest, and I heard this voice saying, now you're right, Jenny. And I thought, it's God, and he's a Cockney. And it wasn't, it was the jump master. He'd jumped out shortly after me in one of those shredded wheat parachutes, and he was flying like a bird. I hit the deck and got pulled by the wind, and the tape recorder hit my face.
She's down. Good gracious. You all right, sweetie?
And I had blood coming out of my nose. It was all in my mouth. I bruised all my gums, so they were bleeding. I'd bitten my tongue. The director said, I think I'd like you to do it again, Jenny, because there was a man standing in the way there, and it would look better if you just did it again. And Mick, my hero, came to my rescue again and said, is she insured for 2 jumps?
And he said, no. And that was when I burst into tears.
Well, I hate anything like potholing. I just can't understand why people want to do it. I think it must be the most horrendous thing to do. And I remember having to duck, double, and wear this helmet and go down this extremely smelly sewer.
I almost hesitate to ask Peter, but as we're down a sewer, I suppose I ought to. What about the floor and what looks like mud on the floor?
You're quite right. It's not mud. We've had it analysed, and it is excreta.
I'm feeling a bit achy and hunched up. Do you think we could go back now?
I think I agree with you.
I can hardly turn round.
In part 3, we catch up with our wannabes as they meet their future audience.
Are you ready?
Come on, yo!
Plus, what seems a good idea at the time can go painfully wrong.
In Oxford Street...
And on live TV, anything can happen.
Crashed his plane. Pardon?
Cushion. Go cushion. Here we go.
These two stars first cut their teeth on kids' TV. It's Ant and Dec.
Thank you.
Welcome back to CTV UK. Still to come this morning show. We've got...
They're young, trendy, and very different from the old school.
As you can see, Dec always gets his horse checked before we go to rehearsals.
Rehearsals for the live Saturday morning show are underway, but it takes time to plan and organise chaos.
Cushion two grapes. Yes, we're ready.
Think you can call me by my school
Stand by trolley
grounds. Gang name, Macca.
Go trolley. Go trolley. Go trolley. Crash. Too long.
And here's what else is coming up with the rest of the day.
How's that then? That's lovely. Thanks a lot. That's great.
Done and dusted.
And
still in
the
process.
kind of getting there, really. Chantal? When doing interviews, you kind of have to compare. I compare it with like being a swan. I know this stick with me, because you have to appear all graceful and you know calm on the outside, but on the inside you've got these things here. And because our show is so tight for time all the time, the director's always saying, you've got to move on, you've got to thank them and get rid of them.
Next question.
And they're going, and let me tell you about this. And you're going,
I was in
really?
Zimbabwe and finish it. Go to the break.
Go to the next thing.
Murray. Now watch very closely. We have 3 cards.
No, there's 4. I can see another one under this one.
What O is the generic word for any living animal or plant, including bacteria and viruses?
Orgasm. Oh.
Respect for the audience is always there. Respect for the presenter is not. And we were made to wear some fairly iffy outfits and do some fairly silly things.
Robin Hood with his merry men. Come on, yo!
The idea was, I'll catch onto that branch, the horse will carry on, and I'll be left swinging there. That'll look really funny. And the horse was brilliant. The horse carried on walking as I grabbed hold of the branch.
Oh, yeah!
So I'm standing there, ready to go, and it's 5, 4, 3, 2, and they lit the stuff, the gas and everything. And I went, no! Fire!
The trouble was they'd set light to Johnny Ball too early. He's already been behind the doors on fire for 25 seconds.
My tail is on fire and the firework's already gone off. The plastic on the back of my neck is already melting. So I came out of the door on cue. Fire! Fire! And it was almost gobbledygook. You could just understand what I was saying. But the adrenaline, my heart, tail on fire, and everything. I've got to set fire to me, Tassel. Oh!
And I must say, Shirley Temple was probably the most embarrassing one, because they made me dress up in this sort of baby doll outfit and sing, I'm Shirley Temple, the girl with curly hair.
You're awake with a tummy ache on a good ship. Lollipop midnight, trip into bed you hop and dream away on the good ship Lollipop.
It's now 4 weeks since Anne-Marie took her screen test.
To catch up with Pinky and the Brain, I think.
She didn't think she'd done that well.
Sorry.
The last 6 have been invited back.
Put your bags in this room over here.
And Anne-Marie is one of them. Today we'll decide who will be next on our screens. It's an 8-hour workshop to find one boy and one girl.
Hello and welcome back to Sports Night. We've got with us here Barney, who scored the winning goal in this morning's match from Manchester United against Arsenal. How does it feel?
Anne-Marie faces stiff competition from Andrea.
Competition in the first place, and to beat our rivals Arsenal, I mean, to score the winning
Thank
goal.
you so much for coming. It's been lovely to see you.
Thank you for having me.
And coming up on the break, it's more football. Football. That's all we're talking about.
I just can't seem to be able to relax. I'm trying to think, this is, you know, such a golden opportunity, and I'm trying to be myself, and I'm not being myself.
But it's not over. In the afternoon, they faced 30 children.
Hello.
Are you ready? Yeah! Oh, goodness, I thought I went a bit deaf just then.
So after 3. 1, 2, 3!
Anne-Marie and Tom have devised a game about cowboys and Indians.
Oh, yes!
So what did the kids think?
Definitely Tom and Anne-Marie, because Tom was funny and energetic, but Anne-Marie, she, like, in a way could handle him. Tom was a funky dude, and Andrea is a funky girl. Anne-Marie.
Anne-Marie was your favourite one, was she?
Barney and Anne-Marie.
But the children's verdict isn't binding. The producers meet afterwards. Their decision will be known within 48 hours. 6 o'clock in the morning. Ant and Dec arrive at the London studios.
Morning to you. That right there?
In just over 3 hours, they'll be on air.
When we first started doing the show, we used to come in, because we started kind of last autumn, we used to come in the winter and past nightclubs and stuff and see people coming out and going, woo, woo.
Kissing on the street corners and that.
We used to be like that.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to show number...
7 o'clock, and the production team run through the final changes.
Continuing series of 52 and then another 52. It's going on forever.
Meanwhile, Ant and Dec are in makeup.
Cheers.
Ant seems to be taking rather less time.
You can't polish a turd. I mean, they do their best with that, but bless him.
Shut up.
OK, let's have a practice cheer.
Today's show will be even more demanding than usual. They've invited 50 kids to deliberately cause mayhem.
I'm not being paid enough.
Right, ready for this?
Well, now I
Answer
your questions and sing.
Ready for this?
Can I have roasted to the floor, please? I did ask 3 minutes ago.
It's 8:30 and rehearsals are underway. Michaela Strachan is guesting. It's just under an hour until the start, and they run through the complicated opening of the show. But Ant's main concern is the general knowledge quiz Challenge Ant. His opponent today, 12-year-old Kimberly, is waiting backstage with Michaela.
He noticed his dirty clothes.
How about if he doesn't come out?
Listen, I've gone on telly with penguin poo all over me before.
I'm not confident. I don't know. It's one of those things. I'd like to win, I have to say. But she's, bless her, she's, a cute little thing, isn't she? Don't really want to beat her. But all's fair in love and challenge, Ant.
Are they there, Anne-Marie?
It's moments till the show goes on air.
3, 2, 1, 0.
Cue.
The troublemakers are let loose. No one escapes.
Get out of it! Right, that's it! Ooh, get out of here!
No. Get out of
missed.
Get out, go on, you little ruffians. Hello there, welcome to SMTV Live, the first SMTV Live without head girl Cat Dealey. Did they get you?
They did. Who gave those kids hot baguettes?
But we don't care, Cat's not here, and when Cat's not here, when the cat's away...
Ant's moment is here. Live, he faces Kimberly. She has one question unknown to Ant and unrehearsed. If he gets it right, he wins. And Ant wants to win, but so does Kimberly.
Please ask the killer question, Kimberly.
What do you think she should do, everybody?
I'm gonna get back!
She's gonna go for it!
Good for her! So, Kimberly, ask your killer question.
Let's have the killer question.
Go Grams!
What are the names of all S-Club 7?
Oh, brilliant.
Quiet, please.
Give it up.
Rachel, Brian,
No, Brian.
Steve.
Give it up.
Give it up. What? Give one up. What? What? No, I don't know. You
Wrong! Yeah, Kimmy's won. Go Grams for her. She's won.
I told you he would lose. I told you he wouldn't get it.
Well, I was beat by a lass, a 12-year-old. That's what it's all about, isn't it, eh? Good telly, though, but...
Live television remains a crucial part of the children's show. All presenters have to be able to cope with the discipline and pressure of having no second chance.
If you would like to call Michael, question 3 to him.
You're right.
You can dial.
No, it's
on this number. It is, of course, this one. Don't worry about it.
It doesn't matter how much planning you've done. It doesn't matter how much you've rehearsed, how much you know your script, how much you can rely on the technology to get you through that particular shot. There will always be something that you haven't plotted for going wrong, and then it's how you ride it.
It's an unpredictable art form. Some shows overrun, others are too short. Filling is a vital part of the presenter's armoury, especially if an all-important guest doesn't make it.
You may wonder why I'm doing this, actually. It's because Virginia Bottomley is at the moment on Westminster Bridge, and she's coming actually down the road. OK, let's actually see what happens. Get a haircut, mate!
That's utterly brilliant! Which is a very useful phrase, because it can be as long as it needs to be, as long as it takes for somebody to tell you what's going to happen next.
And Humpty here, oh, he was my saviour many times, because when I'd forgotten what I was going to do next, I'd say, now Humpty, you tell me what's next. I used to look at him and the camera would cut to Humpty and I'm thinking, my brain would be flashing away thinking, quick, what's next?
And tall.
Dave Benson Phillips has perfected his own unique, fail-safe time filler.
Until, with your whole body stretched out like me, you become a tree.
A man from Hammersmith had a success.
The simple rule is once a children's show is on air, be prepared for just about anything.
And it must have crawled in during the night.
And one morning I thought, I'll ring ITN and see if there's any possibility that Trevor McDonald would actually come on, you know, like, and walk on and surprise Danny, thinking never in a million years will ITN allow this, whatever. And for some reason, I got through to Trevor and I said, what do you think? And he went, my pleasure, CT, I'll be there on Friday night.
Funnily enough, Lenny's idol was Trevor McDonald. He'd never met him, but he thought he was wonderful, and he really wanted to meet him, and so it was a great coup that Trevor actually would come on to Tiswas. And so he had to be smuggled in the building and hidden and everything, of course.
I've got this blanket over his head, and he's going, really, Chris, this is most undignified. This voice is coming out from under the blanket. And finally, there's a woman walking past, goes, who's Trevor McDonald under that blanket? It's just so recognisable as this guy's voice. Even then, you're talking about 1978 or something. Took him in the studio. Lenny was just about to do this thing, you know, the news link. And now the news, and finally, this is Trevor McDonald, whatever. And the real Trevor McDonald suddenly appeared standing next to him.
In Oxford Street today, a suicidal Japanese fighter pilot crashed his plane. Pardon?
He froze and he turned, and I mean, if it was possible, he went white. You know, it was just extraordinary.
To Lenny's eternal credit, I mean, he rallied. He was clearly completely thrown. And then he rallied within a second, and he was back and really enjoying it.
Well, good morning, Daddy.
And to Trevor, the real Trevor McDonough's eternal credit, I mean, he took buckets of water with the best of them. It was a great moment.
A doctor has tied a rope around his ankles and says he's certain that the man will pull through.
I think the worst one for me was that I was presenting on Saturday morning on this children's programme, and I looked at the autocue machine, and as I'm looking at it, somebody slipped this filthy porno magazine in, and all I could see was this woman with, you know, her legs splayed all over the place. And Noel Evans, the presenter, just kept saying to me, Keith, tell everybody what you can see. Tell everybody what you can see. They were very naughty.
You look like Gaylon from the Planet of the Apes.
We decided to do silly senses on Timmy Mallett, which was a game where you had to sniff things, taste things and feel things to guess what they were. So I said to Timmy, I gave him this garlic clove, and I said, Timmy, don't take it all.
Oh, dear. That's very smelly stuff at home.
Oh, it's a garlic!
Yes, it is, yes. Be very careful.
Garlic! Oh, I can still taste it now. Michaela, I'll never forgive you for that, ever.
I mean, the poor guy. He was going, I feel sick, and he actually was sick at the end of the show, which of course made us laugh even more.
Now,
in part 4, the art of cooking.
You've got somebody upstairs going, get on with it, you've got 2 minutes, 2 minutes.
Plus, however ridiculous you may feel, never, never, never crack up.
I can't be a dog.
Have you ever, like...
And who will be ITV's new star?
Go ahead.
Right then, here we go.
So, if you want to be a children's presenter, you've got to be brave, a touch foolhardy and forever cheerful. But there's yet one more skill needed for the perfect CV. Cooking.
In the end, it does look smooth. Oh!
Merry Christmas.
Now, obviously that's a bit too hot. Ooh.
That's a bit too hot.
The makes on Blue Peter are incredible, really, particularly the cookery. I was hopeless. I'm hopeless at cooking anyway, but in the studio, it would all seem to go wrong. But I always managed to drop the pot of milk in the pan. And of course, you've got somebody upstairs going, get on with it, you've got 2 minutes, 2 minutes on this, you know. Because I was getting so bad at the cookery, Biddy Baxter decided that Yvette Fielding should have a go. You know, being a girl, of course she'll be able to do it better. Well, she was worse than me. She had to make pancakes. It was pancake day.
Oh, dear. Mark, I think I've joined your club, love. I'm not doing very well at all, am I? Oh, dear, look at the state of that.
And she kept taking the pan off the heat, so of course these eggs never really cooked, and she ended up with a tiny bit like this. And it was just, and she sort of flicked it over and said, oh, well, that's tossing it then, and went into hysterical laughter, and I'm laughing off camera. I mean, it was just superb.
Right, I can't toss it because it's, oh, dear, oh. Look, well, that's that then, that's tossing it. OK, I've turned it over. Oh, dear. Oh, dearie me.
And finally, to our last, possibly most important lesson of them all.
You know what dogs like doing? They like barking.
Always remember, not in front of the children.
First of all, let's get into the doggy position. So bend down in front of your bowl of water and lap it up.
What am I doing? I can't be a dog. Please.
Swearing is the #1 pet hate of the British television audience. If you do a show which is aimed at children and you even hint of swearing, they go ballistic.
And it's like we do it in rehearsals, which is worse because we shouldn't do it in rehearsals, because we pretend, you know, and we go, oh, look, and this, you can win all these prizes. And we think, no, don't do that because you'll end up doing it on the show.
What K is a Chinese ceremony.
But it's not always the presenter's fault.
Yes, Pauline?
Commissatra?
No, something quite different.
Today's question of the day is, what's the most important thing a pervert can give their children, a parent can give their children?
This kid phoned up and said, is that Matt Bianco? And the presenter, Mike Reed, at that time turned around and said, yes, it is. He said, well, I think you're a load of
We'll be talking to Andi Marriott, talking about the South African Grand Prix.
Grand Prix?
Grand Prix.
About his Grand Prix?
Yes, Grand Prix. He's got here Grand Prix.
So you're going to have to keep your eye on everybody else as well. On Tiswas, they put their adult guests behind bars. But even that wasn't enough when a cage full of celebrities and rock stars got out of hand.
And suddenly there was this unmistakable smell of marijuana coming out of the cage. And like there's 100 kids, there's journalists up there because we've got all these rock stars up there. And Chris sort of took one look at me and went, no!
And somebody in this cage is smoking a joint. I'm thinking, oh no, this is the end of Tiswas, the end of Tarrant, this is the end of everything. So we just got every bucket we could and just pelted these people.
Oh no! This is what they want! This is why
They all screamed because it was probably a waste of a very expensive joint. And to this day, actually, the guy who did it has never, ever actually admitted to me that it was him. But I know who it was. And he knows it was him as well. But he's famous. He is the man. It was a man, so it wasn't Goldie and the Gingerbreads. He's the man who smoked a spliff on children's television.
So that's how to master arguably the toughest TV assignment of them all. Learn all the lessons, heed all of our warnings, and a glittering career awaits. Today, the new stars of ITV will be announced. Anne-Marie is waiting to find out if her dream has come true.
Hello?
Hello, is that Anne-Marie?
Oh no, I don't want to hear this. I don't want to hear this.
OK, well, I'll get straight to the point. On this occasion, we've decided to go with Andrea and with Tom. Now, I know that's going to be very disappointing news for you. To get down to the last 6 from 1,200 is an achievement in itself. And I really, you know, I can't emphasise how well you did. You know, it's not the end of the road, and as I said, things change all the time.
I just knew. I knew I hadn't done here. But a part of me was just hoping.
It's not worth getting this upset about, really.
OK.
OK, Anne-Marie.
Thanks for getting in touch. All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hello?
Hello, is that Andrea?
Yes, it is. Hello.
I'm afraid, on this occasion, we'd very much like to offer you the job.
Really?
Yep.
Oh, my God.
You've got it.
Oh, my God. Oh, that is so... Oh, thank you.
Well, I'll give you a little bit of time for it to sink in.
I love you, Steve.
I'll speak to you very soon.
OK, bye.
Bye-bye.
And coming up, we've got a...
Andrea will be joined by 17-year-old Tom. They're the new faces of children's ITV. Over the next 6 months, they'll have to get used to being recognised wherever they go. It might be tougher than they'd imagine.
Tom, we can all see you.